It was White Dwarf 97, and it was January 1988. My first White Dwarf, and a scenario for Warhammer Fantasy Battle 3rd Edition called The Valley of Death. Let's go through it. So, January 1988, and White Dwarf 97. We just moved down from the country to the city for Mum's work, and Dad got his transfer, and yeah, here we are. And I stumbled across this magazine called White Dwarf. This is my first White Dwarf, funnily enough, and inside it was a Warhammer Fantasy Battle 3rd Edition scenario called The Valley of Death. It's the tale of an Orc and a Goblin army facing off against two Dwarf armies, and yeah, how they interact with each other. Different victory points for each army. Cover that when we come up to it, but this is the introduction. So you got a little bit of a blurb there from the Dwarf point of view and the Orc point of view. So page 2 of the scenario goes through our outline, just letting us know about the scenario. So it gives the Game Master the background leading up to the battle and describes the situation existing at the start of the confrontation. Game Master for this scenario would be pretty good, but if you can't manage it, then, well, like I can't, solo and all, then yeah, it doesn't really matter. It talks a little bit about the scenery that you need. In order to run the battle, you will need a selection of scenery to represent woods, streams and rivers, hills and boulder fields. I'll probably extend my table out from 6x4 to maybe 8x4. I've always wanted to go to an 8x4 table, and I've got the tiles to do that now, so that could be interesting and fun. It is a large battle. If you plan to play the part as a commander in this battle, stop reading here. Very much like a Advanced Dungeons and Dragons scenario or Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay scenario for back in the day. Battle takes place in the World's Edge Mountains, south of the Blood River and east of the Badlands. The battle zone is a valley pass which leads west to the Dwarven holds of Carrack Oren, Blackcrag and Carrack 8 Peaks. It is now early summer and traditional raiding season for the Goblinoids. These raids are a chance to gain land, loot and enjoy the finer things in life, such as barbecued dwarf. The raids also cull the weakest in the tribe, ensuring a healthy breeding stock and therefore, in the long term, a strong tribe. To the end of making such a raid, an unlikely alliance has been formed between the Orcs of Vomit Scrag Puke Breath Crusher and the Goblin leader Gangrene. Both leaders hope that combining their forces will lead to substantially increased spoils of war. The Goblinoid forces have been moving for almost a month, losing momentum and slowing to almost a complete standstill. And discipline is now becoming a thing of the past. Well, let's face it, it was never a strong point, with squabbling and fighting becoming commonplace between the various factions that make up this massive goblin kind. The leaders have finally realised the dangers of the situation, and so have exercised their authority with view to giving the troops something other than old rivalries to worry about. Now the army is once again moving west up the valley, where it is rumoured that there are stunty holds to be pillaged. A Dwarven Wide Patrol on a scouting mission from Carrack Oren has spotted the Goblinoid army coming up the valley, and so the alarm has been raised to the two Dwarven holds. Both these armies have been mobilised and dispatched to stop the Goblinoids. Thus, two forces of dwarves are moving east along the valley with a view to defending their homelands, whilst the Goblinoid rabble move west, dreaming of stunty sandwiches. This sleepy sun-washed valley will soon become the Valley of Death. Forces. Now, the forces involved in the battle have been split into 4 commands, In a 4-player game, each player takes 1 command. In a 3-player game, most experienced players should take command of either Dwarves or the Goblinoid. The other players take 1 each in the remaining commands. In a 2-player game, 1 player plays the Dwarves and 1 player plays the Goblinoids. Pretty self-explanatory. Each of the following sections provides details of the troops belonging to each command, along with the details of its leader and special figures. Notes have also been provided on the aims of the commander of each unit. Achieving these will secure victory points. See the victory points for further details. It is important that each player reads only the details of their own forces. All other information is for GMs only, who can each give a player any background of the outline which is considered appropriate. Mission is granted to make photocopies for personal use only of the relevant sections of this scenario. These can then be handed out to the army commanders. The 2 armies, Dwarf and Goblinoids, are large, and the battle will take some time to complete, so grind your whatevers and get to it. Pretty cool. With my Orc and Goblin army, I've pretty much got most of everything I need. I think I just need some ball boys, but we'll go through that with the forces when we look at it. And for the Dwarves, I'm pretty close to having everything I need for that too, so that should be good. So this page lists the first of the Dwarf forces, Barnack Bladazarn's Dwarven Reavers. It gives a commander's briefing. Just goes through that pretty much have to stop them here. After your whole force is deployed here, there's a few veterans still at the hold, but they wouldn't stand any chance. So if they get past you here, that's it. They're going to sack the hold. Then lists the characters and the regiments for Barnack's faction. Barnack is a level 20 Dwarf hero. He wears heavy armor, giving an armor saving throw of 5 or 6. He also wields a double-handed weapon. He's an individually based model and can attach himself to any Dwarf unit under his command. He's feared and respected commander of almost legendary standing in Carrick-Oran, a harsh disciplinarian. His name is often used by harassed Dwarven parents to quieten unruly children, a state of affairs which would not displease him. Barnack's battle standard depicts a mighty black axe on a red background. Now he has 2 heroes with him, Tartan Trollbaiter and Balzad Ugal. Tartan wears light armor, given an armor saving throw of 6. She also wields a, yes, I said that right, a Dwarven female, also wields a double-handed weapon. So much for Warhammer is for everyone. It's been for everyone since day bloody dot. Tartan is a fanatical follower of Barnock, and her hatred of Goblinoids knows no bounds. She uses Orcs blood to spike her hair. Some of the troops think this is a teeny bit tasteless, but none would dare bring it up in conversation. Balzod's weapon is an axe. This is Balzod, the other level 10 hero. His weapon is an axe. He wears light armor and carries a shield, giving a saving throw of 5 or 6. Balzod's name means hand of iron, strength, and he boasts that he can crush a goblin's head in one hand. Those that wish to avoid being splattered with what serves goblins for brains should refrain from asking for a demonstration. Tartan and Blazod are both individually based models and can attach themselves to any unit under Barnock Blazardan's command. So we need 65 Dwarf warriors, and they're broken up into the Kebab Skewers. They're a unit of 15 Dwarves, including a standard bearer. They are armed with pikes, wear light armor, and carry shields. Haven't got that unit. Haven't got any Dwarves with pikes, but it's a good excuse to get some. Hairpins Hillman, unit of 15 Dwarves, including a standard bearer. They are armed with hand weapons, wear light armor, and carry shields. Got that unit. I like that it's also got a little blurb on what the standard shows, a green hill with a sword sticking in it. And the skewers For them, their standard image is presented in glorious Technicolor, and it shows, where does it say? It shows 2 or 3 goblins writhing on their pikes, or their skewers, as they would insist on calling them. Then you've got Tarquin's Twangies, a unit of 15 dwarves, including a standard bearer and a musician. They are armed with hand weapons and crossbows. We've got that unit. The Twangies are often sneered at by the rest of the army because of their foppish mode of dress, but that usually disappears once they start demonstrating a laydown of a hail of quarrels from their crossbows. Their standard shows a yellow rose and cross quarrels. Tabasco's Burners, a regiment of 10 dwarf troll slayers, armed with 2-handed weapons and wear no armour. They are subject to frenzy. They prepare for themselves for battle with a jealously guarded secret of a potent brew, red in colour. Once drunk, it turns them into maniacs. Now, an artillery guard, a unit of 5 dwarves armed with hand weapons and crossbows. They wear light armour and carry... I've got enough slayers for them. Artillery guard, 5 dwarves armed with hand weapons and crossbows. They wear light armour and carry shields. Got those. Cadram's Upchucker, a 5-man stone thrower. Got that. Stonecrow crew of 5. These dwarves are armed with hand weapons and unarmoured and are unarmoured. They're obsessive, introverted engineers whose dwarves are always muttering about arcs of fire, trajectory, and other such arcane secrets. So I've got those as well. So the only thing I'd have to get would be 15 dwarves with pikes. So that's pretty much them taken care of. So the next page then discusses Dunkervern's dwarf contingent, Dunkervern's deadly dwarf contingent. When the message arrived from your ally Barnock Blatazan, telling of a filthy gobbo horde approaching your lands, you received it with mixed emotions. For while battle is glorious, many fine dwarves stand to lose their lives. But if what the priests say is true, these dwarves are assured a speedy journey to sit in honour by Grungy's side. But enough of these mussings, for there is a battle to be won, and win you must. For if any of the filth get past your troops, and those of Barnock's, they will find your hold easy pickings, for all your forces are committed to the battle about to be fought. In a brief discussion with Barnock, it was decided that you were responsible for holding the southern bridge that crosses the river Rusked. Now you can see the horde their approach, raising a vast dust cloud. You are committed. They shall not pass. Nice. Dunkervern, level 20 dwarf heroine. She's armed with a hand weapon, wears heavy armour, and uses a shield. Her armour gives her a saving throw of 4, 5, or 6. Individually based, and attach herself to any unit. Her battle standard shows a double-headed axe embedded in a pile of goblin heads. Now, she's got a level 10 hero called Ulrich Alenza. He is armed with a halberd and wears light armour, so it gives him a 6 saving throw. In his younger days, he spent a lot of time with the dwarves, and so impressed was their ways that he's adopted one of their names. He used to be called Oren. He now dresses in large furs and also speaks with an irritating Norse accent. So he must be the Camilla of the Warhammer world. Ulrich will usually lead the mashers, see below, into the battle. Remember that if you go into frenzy, so does Ulrich. So, 58 dwarf warriors for Dunkervern's dwarves. Harold's Best, a unit of 15 dwarves, including a standard bearer and musician. They are armed with hand weapons, wear light armour, and carry shields, giving an armour saving throw of 5, 6. Their standard depicts a dwarf standing over the top of a cowering wimpy looking orc. So 15 dwarves, I've got that. Bronze Bruisers, unit of 10 dwarves, including a standard bearer. They are armed with double-handed weapons and wear light armour. This over-muscled, under-brained group of thugs wear studded leather armbands, have long greasy hair, and speak in monosyllabic grunt. They don't half make a mess of gobbos, though. The standard shows a gore-splattered hammer. Pincushions are a unit of 15 dwarves. I've got the double-handed weapon ones too. The pincushions are a unit of 15 dwarves, including a standard bearer and musician. They are armed with hand weapons and crossbows, and are armoured. I'd have to get these guys, I think. That's okay. Mean and deadly pincushions can provide useful covering fire for other units. The standard depicts an arrow-peppered dwarf. An arrow-peppered goblin, sorry. Ulrich's Mighty Mashers are a unit of 10 dwarf troll slayers, armed with hand weapons, and they carry shields. The shields give an armor saving throw of 6. The Mashers are subject to frenzy. Now, Ulrich is usually hanging out with these guys, goad themselves into frenzy, and then launch into battle with glazed eyes and whirling blades. Very dangerous. Now, Artillery Guard, a unit of 5 dwarves armed with... I've got the Mighty Mashers, so I don't have to worry about that. Artillery Guards, unit of 5 dwarves armed with crossbows. I think I'd have to get these guys. So that'd be 20 crossbowmen for this contingent. Kablam is a 3-man organ gun. It has 3 barrels. The 3 dwarf crew are armed with hand weapons and wearing no armour. These, well, it says 4 there. I wonder if that's supposed to say 3, but it says these 4 deaf and smoke-blackened dwarves get a real kick out of the uncertainty of letting off a really big gun. Most of the army regard them as slightly mad. So that's a 3-man organ gun. Very nice. So that's the dwarf contingents. So now we come to the first of the baddies contingents, and this is Vomit Scrag Crusher's Orc Nasties. His brief is that he's been halfway up a stupid valley for a whole month from home and no stunty holes yet. It wouldn't be no problem if it weren't for the fact that the lads is getting restless, not to mention the trolls getting hungry. We all know how dodgy trolls is. I love the Orc language, it's awesome. I do like the picture of Vomit Scrag there, done by Nick Williams. It's awesome. I love that. But Vomit Scrag's a level 20 Orc hero. He is mounted on a boar. His leadership here, it says, is 9 plus 3 for route and psychology tests taken while mounted. Must be because of the boars. Vomit Scrag is armed with a hand weapon, wears light armour and carries a shield. This armour, coupled with the bonus for being mounted, gives a saving throw of 3, 4, 5 or 6. Known as puke breath when he isn't around, Vomit Scrag's personal habits are beyond description. No, you're not going to hear them, and don't give me that line about in the interests of completeness. Vomit Scrag is an individually based model and can attach himself to any orc unit. I haven't got any orcs on the ball, so good excuse to start collecting. Ragged Ear Kral and Scrimgol the Butcher. These are both level 10 orc heroes. Kral wields a hand weapon and wears light armour and carries a shield. This gives him a saving throw of 5 or 6, but reduces his movement by half an inch to 3.5 inches. Now, Kroll got his prefix when drunk on spittleberry juice. He's Ragged Ear Kroll. His longtime partner, Scrimgroll, did the business with his cleaver, and on the whole, Kroll is well pleased with the results. Because, yeah, while drunk, he decided to serrate his ears. Scrimgroll is armed with an evil-looking double-handed weapon and wears light armour. This armour gives Scrimgroll saving throw 6. Oh, so it must be, yeah, that must be Scrimgroll that's the picture of Nick Williams has done. Hated and feared by those under his command. Scrimgol is sadistic, warped, and definitely not nice, your ideal orc anti-hero. Both Kroll and Scrimgol are individually based models and can attach themselves to any orc unit, but while the trolls are on the battlefield, Kroll will lead them. And we have there the details for Raving Rat Ripsnarl, a level 15 orc wizard. He's magic level 2, power level 20. Ripskull carries a hand weapon and is unarmoured. She can use the following spells: Cure Light Injury, Flight, Wind Blast, and level 2 spells is Mystic Mist, Rally, and Steadfast. The bracketed figure is the cost of the spell. So she's got 20 spell points. I don't know how you tell the difference between a female and male orc, I'm not sure. So the next page talks about the orc contingent. Needing 60 orc warriors for this. The Jacuzzi Nightmares are a unit of 20 orcs, including a standard bearer. They are armed with hand weapons and carry shields. The Nightmares enhance their fearsome appearance by bedecking themselves with jewellery made from the corpses of vanquished foes. Gross. Their standard shows a black demonic steed. That could be fun to paint. Got those. Agim's Ardent Archers, a unit of 20 orcs, including standard bearer. They are armed with normal bows and hand weapons and are unarmoured. Agim is a keen marksman famed for killing his sister while attempting to shoot an apple balanced on her head. These archers carry on the fine tradition. Got those. Ground Shakers, a unit of 10 orcs mounted on boars. They are armed with spears and carry shields. The shields, coupled with the bonus for being mounted, gives the Shakers an armor saving throw of 4, 5, or 6. The stats for boars are also included. Now, the ground Shakers spike both their own hair and that of their boars with lime. Their arch rivals are the Thunderers, who they consistently trade insults with and regard as a bunch of upstarts. They haven't even got any spiky hair. So I'd have to collect 10 orcs on boars. Now the Terrible Thunderers, another unit of 10 orcs mounted on boars. For the boars profile, see the ground Shakers above. The Thunderers are armed with a hand weapon and carry shields. The shields, coupled with the bonus for being mounted, gives the Thunderers an armor saving throw of 4, 5, or 6. The Thunderers all carry small drums into battle, which they manically beat with bones as they charge. The effect is anything but musical. The ground Shakers are regarded with unmitigated contempt by the Thunderers. They haven't even got any drums, the wimps. So I need those as well. So 20 orcs on boars. Modelling little drums on 10 of them could be cool. Something for green stuff, I suppose. What else we got here? We've got the Greenies. They're 2 trolls. Now, Greenies are subject to stupidity. Any character model who leads them is also subject to stupidity. Can't English today. But the test for both the leader and the trolls is made on the character's leadership. Cool. The Greenies cause fear in creatures under 10 feet high, can regenerate, and may use the troll special attacks. This loathsome pair are led by a ragged ear Krull, smeared with the remains of their last meal, an overripe giant slug. These 2 are hungry and feeling mean. I've got 1 troll. I'd have to get another troll. And I've actually never painted a troll before. So that's one for the bucket list, doing this for. So I'd need 20 orcs on boars and a troll. I'd really like to get the Oldhammer orcs on boars. I think that's going to cost an arm and a leg, but could be worth it in the end. But because I really, really do not like the newer Orc Ball Boys. I don't like them. 4th and 5th edition were okay, but yeah, these ones for the old world and that, I don't like them. They're too big. Gale Creek's gotten out of control. But this is a nice picture of some goblins on giant wolves there by Pete Blandicon or something. Sorry if I got that wrong. Can't really make it out. Now we're coming on to Gangrene's contingent. So this is Gangrene's Goblin Gang, the Goblin contingent for the battle. Gangrene is a level 20 Goblin hero. He is armed with a magic sword that increases his strength by 2 to 6. Gangrene wears light armor and carries a shield. Sees himself as a fearless and mighty warrior and prefers to lead the wheelies, thundering into battle, in which case he rides one of the chariots. Although he can join any goblin unit, Gang's battle standard depicts a chariot scythe decapitating a cowering stunty. So that's pretty cool. Zip Picker Zorn and Blackhead the Worse Than Normal, both level 10 Goblin heroes. Zip Picker is armed with a spear and wears light armor. It also gives him an armor saving throw of 6. Blackhead is armed with a short bow and a spear, wears light armor, carries a shield, and rides a giant wolf. This armor, coupled to the mounted bonus, gives Blackhead a saving throw of 4, 5, and 6. Stats for Blackhead's giant wolf can be found in the Howling Slaughterers. Known as the Spot Brothers, Zip Picker and Blackhead have a lot in common. I love the plays on names that they used to do back then. Heave-inducing complexions and a hatred of all things dwarf. Well, all things, really. Both the Spot Brothers are individually based models and can join any Goblin regiment, although Blackhead's favoured position is with the Howling Slaughterers. Abra the Small and Kadabra the Not Very Big. 2 Goblin level 5 wizards. So Abra and Kadabra are both armed with hand weapons and are unarmoured. Both magic level 1, power level 10. Abra can cast the following spells: Order of Resistance and Fireball, and Strength of Combat. Kadabra can cast the following spells: Fireball, Steel Mind, and Wind Blast. That's a nasty spell, actually, when you think about it. Wind Blast stops you in your tracks. Has the potential. Divinity pair of shamans are fairly new to the world of magic and are trifling lacking in confidence. This won't stop them trying their best, though, particularly as Gangrene himself has pressed upon them the need for success. Both of these wizards are individually based models and can join any Goblin unit. Now, it does say there that we need 137 warriors, goblins, and goblins are subject to animosity to upper goblinoids and hate dwarves. So the next page will give us the layout for our Goblin contingent. And there is which my friendly hobby store told me that just because the Book of the Astronomicon is on the side of the Blood Bowl box doesn't mean it exists. Thanks for that. So this is the meat and potatoes of the Goblin faction. Now we needed 137 warriors, and they're broken up over these units. So the Stunty Spikers are a unit of 40 goblins, including a standard bearer and magician. They are armed with spears and wear no armour. Looking like a huge hedgehog, this unit of nasty little green chaps takes a lot of pushing back. The Spikers standard shows a forest of spears, whilst the magician's favourite number is here we go. That's cool. 40 goblins with spears. I can manage that. Slashing, slashes, slashing, slashes. Unit of 25 goblins, including a standard bearer and musician. They are armed with hand weapons, wear light armor, and carry shields. Their armor gives them a saving throw of 5 or 6, but it also knocks out half an inch of movement, giving a movement rate of 3.5 inches. The slashers only accept those goblins who can say the regiment full name correctly first time. They rightly regard themselves as something as an intellectual elite. I can do that unit as well. Zargag shooters, a unit of 20 goblins, including a standard bearer. They are armed with hand weapon and short bows, and are unarmored, as long as they don't get into melee, where their poor weapon skill lets them down. Isn't that the truth? The shooters can usually be useful for pinning down enemy units. The shooter's standard depicts a goblin fist. Some good ideas for standards here for my Orc and Goblin army. I can do those. The Sproingies are a unit of 20 goblins, including a standard bearer. They are armed with hand weapons and short bows, but are unarmoured. Particularly unimaginative bunch. The Sproingies name themselves after the noise that happens when they all let fly at once. It doesn't tell you what their standard looks like, which is a pain in the bum. But that's okay, we can work around that. I can do that unit as well. I've got nasty pointy things, and we're going to use them as a unit of 20 goblins, including a standard bearer. They are armed with javelins and hand weapons and carry shields. The shields give them an armor saving throw of 6. Winners of the most unwieldy unit title award for the last 5 years. The pointy things, as they are most often known, are a rather immature group of goblins who delight in sticking their pointy things into dwarves. The standard shows, you guessed it, a pointy thing. And the Howling Slaughterers, a unit of 12 goblins mounted on giant wolves. They are armed with hand weapons and bows, wear light armor and carry shields. Their armor, coupled with the bonus for being mounted, gives them a saving throw of 4, 5 or 6. I think I've got 10, so I'll need another 2. Now, Scott, the Howling Slaughterers and Blackhead's giant wolves. Led into battle by Blackhead, the worse than normal. Slaughterers are best used to carry the enemy on the flanks, where they can cause considerable trouble. Now, we've got Fogrot's Frothers. There's 5 goblin fanatics armed with ball and chains. They can be hidden amongst any of the units on here. And the Wheelies. Now, I don't have these guys. Definitely don't have these guys. There's 2 goblin light chariots. Chariots are fitted with scythes. Got 2 giant wolves and 2 goblins. The crew are armed with hand weapons and wear light armor. Their armor gives them a saving throw of 6. The wheelies are very hard to stop when charging. Looking forward to adding those to my goblin and orc armies. And the Boogies, which is 5 snotling bases. Regiment of snotlings is armed with poisonous weapons, so they get a strength bonus. And small, green and wimpy. A single snotling is a pathetic sight. Stick a whole bunch of them together though, and they've got the potential to be a thorn in someone's side. Weapon skill 2, but 3 wounds per base, and that's 5 bases. So yes, I haven't got any snotlings, but looking forward to adding those to the army as well. So that's the contingents. And we'll go on to the map of the battle. So this shows the map of the battlefield. That's the next page. It lets you know that it's fought in a valley. There's also some river parts that I'm going to have to build. I haven't actually got any river pieces for my battlefield, so that's a good excuse to actually build them. 2 bridges. I've got 1 bridge. I'll have to construct the other one. That could be good for a video as well. Very hilly on the sides. With my extra pieces, I should be able to represent that. So that's not too bad. Like boulder fields and stuff can just be done with like loose rocks. I've got enough woods to represent the woods. The only thing I'd have to construct would be that bridge and the river sections. Let's face it, let's be honest, river sections always come in handy. They always look good. The river itself is 2 inches wide, fast flowing. The stream 1 inch wide, counts as difficult terrain, and the fords are 3 inches wide and 2 inches across. They count as difficult ground, half movement. The bridges are made of stone, 2.5 inches wide, and have stone walls along their sides. The walls count as hardcover and have toughness 7 and 5 wounds. Boulder fields are loose and unstable and count as difficult ground. In addition to this, due to the dangers of rock falls, any riders that are mounted creatures must treat them as fields as very difficult ground, 1/4 movement. Now, from that map, pretty much do everything there, yeah, except I've got to construct one bridge and the rivers, but that's okay. It'll be a good video on how I do that. I have to come up with a quick method. But after the map, it then discusses the objectives and the sequence of action for the first 2 turns. So let's have a little squizzy at that. So after laying out the battlefield as shown on the tabletop plan, the GM should give players the details of their respective forces and deal with any queries that arise. Now, due to the routine of the opposing forces through the valley, they will sight each other simultaneously. To simulate this and the problems of moving a large number of troops up a narrow valley, because it's unlikely that you'll be able to deploy your whole army in your deployment zone, you need to make a list. So you need to make a list of which units are deploying and the order that they come on. You can hold troops back, but they then become subject to the rules for trailing forces given in the deployment section of Warhammer 3. Because this deployment sketch is binding, no crafty repositioning, and dictates the order in which units get onto the battlefield, it is very important and will prove to be one of the major factors in the eventual outcome of the battle. It should be pointed out that this is very important to the commanders and encouraging them to take their time over this tactical decision. So, sequence of action. Turn 1, Barnock Blatazans deploys troops along the line marked A on the map. Dunker Avern deploys troops along the line marked B on the map. Vomit Scrag Crusher deploys troops along line C. And Gangrene deploys his army along the zone marked D. Now, a die should be rolled to see which side, Goblinoid or Dwarven, moves first, and then the turn proceeds as usual. So, turn 2 onwards, following turns proceed as normal, with further troops being brought on as and when the commanders wish, giving the option of holding back troops, providing there is space for them along the deployment line. Remember that troops must be brought on in a pre-arranged order, given on the player's deployment sketches to the Game Master. So we then move on to victory conditions of this scenario. We'll get on to that right now. So I didn't show the victory points and conditions for each army, just by some miracle that you managed to get 5 Oldhammer players in the one spot. Then you can go through this scenario and refight it yourself. Now, I will say that the Goblinoids receive relatively few points for killing enemy troops. It's their job to get them off the table. So they score heaps more points for that than they do for actually killing dwarves. At the end of the battle, each player should work out their victory points, and the highest total victory points wins. And that actually shows you how well you did with the victory point charts. Like, we'll say that, like, if Bardnol blazes on, slays Vomit Scrag Crusher himself, then he gets 6 points. Each troll slain, he gets 5 points. That's the same for Dunker of Vern's command as well. But there is different victory points that are awarded depending on which army you're fighting. So other than that, that's the scenario for the Valley of Death. Something I've always wanted to do, something I've had to look at for quite a while. It was only because I was going through some old White Dwarfs that I come across it again, and I thought, oh, actually sort of in a position while I'm painting the Empire army to do that. So I need some Boar Boys and a couple more Fanatics and a few bits and pieces here and there, and then I'll be able to fight the battle out on the channel. But thanks for climbing that mountain with me, and we'll keep climbing that mountain. It's a long mountain, but just like to, like and subscribe. Pop us a comment down if this is a scenario that you'd like to do, and remember to always stay cool, stay Oldhammer.